Thank you. Good morning. Our majority is narrow, but we were happy to add a new member this past week, and we've administered the oath now to Representative Matt Van Epps of Tennessee. You're really going to love him. He's a combat veteran and a dedicated husband and father, a very effective state official from Tennessee, and now he will be representing the folks of Nashville and 14 counties here, and we've added him to his committees this morning formally and officially, so he is hit the ground running. There is a lot going on here. We wanted to talk with you about some of those things this morning, and I'm so grateful for this leadership team for giving you the report so far, and for Representative Kiggins, who is an extraordinary member of Congress, as you know, a decorated veteran and somebody who's so committed to our nation's defense and our military servicemen and women, and her expertise and all these things has been so greatly appreciated. We're glad to have her this morning. Now, look, we've had one of the most consequential, most productive, most successful Congresses in the history of this institution, the 119th Congress. In spite of those small margins, the Republican majority has been working in lockstep with the Republican majority in the Senate, even though that one's small as well, and of course with our strong Republican president and his administration. And the results of that cannot be questioned. And I see this false narrative right now, oh, they haven't done enough. Oh, pray tell. Listen, the Working Families Tax Cut, the big beautiful bill, took about 6 months of the first part of this Congress to put together because it was so consequential and so comprehensive. And there are so many things in that bill that our members are going to be so excited to go and run on and talk about in the upcoming election cycle, because we inherited an absolute disaster from the Biden administration. Virtually every area of public policy was decimated, and we had to rebuild from the ground up in many of these places and make all sorts of changes and reforms to get America back again. And we did, and we put it all in this one landmark piece of legislation that will have consequences for generations, and it will be seen and written by history to be one of the biggest things that the Congress has ever achieved. And among those things was an approach to beginning this affordability agenda, because remember, we inherited massive inflation from the previous administration. It's no secret affordability is a flashpoint, right, in recent weeks, and we had 4 catastrophic years of Bidenomics that we inherited. The Biden administration spent like drunken sailors, and they attempted to tax and regulate their way to prosperity, and we all knew when they were doing it that it would not work. It had exactly the opposite effect. The result was inflation skyrocketed, gas prices reached record highs, homeownership declined, credit card debt increased, all those things that everybody felt and they're still feeling now. Now, the American people gave us a mandate in the election. The president won the Electoral College soundly. He won a big majority popular vote. We got the highest vote total for House Republicans in the history of this institution, and they charged us to go fix this. We began that process with the big, beautiful bill, and we have never let up on the accelerator. We keep it going day by day, week by week, notching away at this, trying to fix everything that the previous team broke. And now I wish we could flip a switch right after the election and make it all go away, make it all right. But you know that's not how the economy works. It takes some time to implement new policies and root out the bad things, and that's what's happening. It is a fact that the Biden administration and their Democrat enablers in Congress, we cannot forget, wrecked the U.S. economy. That's what happened, and we had to take it over in January. This is why Democrats' newfound claims about affordability are just patently absurd. Okay, here are the facts, and you know this. Many of you don't write about it, but these are the facts, and they're undisputed. They broke the economy, and now they want to lecture to the American people about affordability. They opened our borders, and now they want to lecture to the American people about immigration border enforcement. They broke the American healthcare system. They caused premiums to skyrocket. And now they have the audacity to tell Republicans that the only way to save it is to throw hundreds of billions of dollars to health insurance companies, which would merely fuel a system that is rife with fraud, waste, and abuse. You cannot be an arsonist and a firefighter at the same time. That's the message for the Democrats. Let's be very clear about one thing. When the Democrats talk about health care affordability, okay, this catchphrase that they are talking about one thing and one thing only. They are talking about continuing handouts to big insurance companies. They have no ideas, they have no desire to fix the broken system they created. They just want to subsidize it. And subsidy is a big word. It means they're taking taxpayer dollars and funding a broken system. That is their entire affordability agenda in a nutshell. This agenda does not lower health care costs. All it does is hide the cost of the failed law, which we assume is the point. And their proposal which is a 3-year extension of these enhanced subsidies, the Democrat COVID subsidies that they created, that they put the expiration date on for this December. That proposal to extend that for 3 years is devoid of any reforms to clamp down on the rampant waste, fraud, and abuse, and it continues to provide taxpayer-subsidized health care to Americans who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars in annual salary. It doesn't make any sense. Now, you heard Whip Emmer and Leader Scalise reference the massive fraud that's just been uncovered in the last week or so in Minnesota. We know that this has been going on around the country in these deep blue states, and now the evidence is starting to come forward. It's staggering. It should upset, it should anger every American that this is where their dollars are being wasted and abused. A new report by the Government Accountability Office, which I haven't seen too much written about yet, you should look into that. It is an eye-opener as well. It makes clear why it would be a dereliction of duty to just extend subsidies without massive reforms to them, okay? Over the last 2 years, this is investigators at the Government Accountability Office, okay? They submitted 24 fraudulent applications for the ACA subsidies, the Unaffordable Care Act subsidies, Obamacare, okay? Of the 24 fraudulent applications that they created intentionally to just see what would happen, 23 of them were approved. These applications were completely fraudulent. The investigators did not submit any Social Security numbers, citizenship documentation, or reported income documents. And 23 of the 24 applications were still approved. 18 of those, by the way, are still receiving coverages they were as of September of this year. That means the Obamacare exchange and insurers didn't verify any of the information that they were supposed to under the law, and they proceeded to pay tens of thousands of dollars to insurance companies for people who do not exist, okay? The GAO report also found that 29,000 Social Security numbers in 2023 and 68,000 in 2024 were used to receive more than 1 year's worth of insurance coverage. In other words, multiple people were utilizing the same Social Security numbers to openly defraud the American taxpayers. The GAO also found that more than $94 million was sent to insurers on behalf of dead people, okay? This is the system that Democrats in Congress want to extend without reform. It's unbelievable. Listen, these are undisputed facts. The Democrats broke America's health care system when they gave us the Unaffordable Care Act, Obamacare, 15 years ago. Remember all the promises? Some of y'all were here. The average premium and the average family is going to go down to $2,500 a year. You're going to be able to keep your doctor. You're going to love this system. None of that was true. In fact, it's the opposite. And premiums have risen because they broke the system dramatically over that time. In some areas, as much as 70%, in some over 90%. And those things are still on a trajectory to rise further. Now, what are we going to do about that? The Democrats had a chance to vote to make life more affordable earlier this year in the Working Families Tax Cut, the big, beautiful bill, and they blew it. The House version of the bill, you may remember, included cost-sharing reductions. We passed that out of the House, we sent it to the Senate, and what that would have done is would have lowered premiums for the average American family by over 12%. Democrats fought to strip that out of the bill. Every American watching today should remember that. The Democrats had a chance to actually lower your premium 6 months ago, but they refused because they wanted to keep health care as a political football. They do not want a solution. They want an issue. That's what this is about. They use the American taxpayers, they admitted themselves during the longest shutdown in U.S. history a few weeks back, as leverage in this cynical political game. So in the coming days, what you're going to see is the other party, the Republican Party, continuing to do the important work that we've already begun to actually lower the cost of health care and reduce fraud, and we hope Democrats will join us in those efforts. There are two parties in this town. One has no intention and no plan and no desire to lower your health care costs. They really haven't put any good idea on the table. They just want to subsidize a broken system. Check them on that. The Republican Party, on the other hand, is already demonstrating that we know how to do this. We're not just talking about it, we've done it. In the Working Families Tax Cut, you will remember, in the Medicaid reforms, we went after program integrity. We didn't change the substance of Medicaid, as they've claimed falsely. We went to program integrity. Why? Because we owed that to the American taxpayers. We got ineligible recipients off of Medicaid, and we cut out the fraud, waste, and abuse. And the CBO said they've calculated it saved $185 billion for American taxpayers, and it reduced premiums. We reformed it to strengthen Medicaid. Those same principles are going to guide us in the months, in the weeks, the days and weeks and months forward. As Leader Scalise noted, we have some low-hanging fruit. We have some things that every Republican agrees to. Democrats won't. Remember, they don't actually want to fix this problem. But you're going to see a package come together that will be on the floor next week that will actually reduce premiums for 100% of Americans who are on health insurance, not just the 7%. Remember, the COVID-era subsidy only covers 7% of Americans, and it was passed and extended without any reforms at all. It would only reduce their premiums by 4%. So they're using that as a red herring. The overall system is broken, and we're the ones that are going to fix it. You will see that laid out. Thanks to the good work of Chairman Cole and all of our appropriators, we have our appropriations process that will be going forward as well. We're moving those through the regular order process, and that's the way it's supposed to work. So you'll see many of those going through the process, and we think we can get it all wrapped up by the end of that deadline on January 30th. And you'll see that process continue over the days and weeks ahead as well. I will say this again. This Congress has been the most productive and successful in the modern era, and I think I think you can make an argument, one of the top 5 of all time. You've heard me say that. Look at the evidence and the facts. Don't listen to the talking points. This team has delivered with small margins what the American people asked us to do and what we promised we would do. And that work has just begun. It will continue in earnest all the way through the end of this year as we sprint through the end of this calendar year and we start the new session in January. We never take our foot off the gas. So with that, I'll take a few questions. Yeah.
Speaker Johnson, do you intend to advance pro-life provisions in your health care package, such as Hyde amendments for whatever you advance?
Well, look, it's an important principle the Republicans always stand by, the Hyde provisions. It's been a tradition in our law forever. We do believe in the sanctity of human life, and we think it's important that taxpayer dollars not fund abortion. I mean, this is a well-settled principle of ours. So this week, as we go forward, we're gonna do a lot of things on the floor, and we always keep our fundamental principles in mind. Let me tell you just some of these things this week. I mean, some of this has been mentioned, but real substantive things coming to the floor. We passed legislation last week to keep the CCP out of your children's classrooms and to cut costly red tape for small businesses. This week, you're going to have the NDAA on the floor, as Representative Kiggins has talked about, building on historic investments that we included in the Working Families Tax Cut to advance President Trump's Peace Through Strength agenda. By the way, I want to just tell you, before somebody's going to ask about these provisions, this legislation, the NDAA, codifies 15 of President Trump's executive orders, as the leader mentioned, provides a well-deserved pay raise for our troops. It advances the Golden Dome. It revitalizes our defense industrial base. It ends woke ideology at the Pentagon, and it keeps the border secure. And it's the product of months of work by Chairman Rogers and our House Armed Services Committee with Representative Kiggins and all the colleagues there. We thank them for their efforts. And this week, we're also going to have legislation to streamline permitting processes, accelerate permitting approvals, as Chairwoman McClain discussed, strengthen our electric supply chain, and many other things. What you're not going to see, though, is a dreaded Christmas omnibus, right? Because we broke that fever, and I'm so proud of that. For 3 consecutive years, Republicans have avoided the bloated end-of-the-year Christmas omnibus. We've broken that tradition, and we're not turning back. Those are the things you're going to see as we advance our core principles and we stick to the traditions of what we've done for the taxpayers and for the citizens of this country. Yes.
Speaker.
Second row, right here. Class.
After the Gang of 8 briefing that you had yesterday, what makes this video of the second strike on a suspected drug vote different from the other videos the administration has voluntarily released? And do you support all members of your conference being able to see it?
My admission here is I was not in the Gang of 8 briefing yesterday because we were working on the healthcare stuff, and it was timed at exactly the same time as we had our 5 families, all of our caucus meetings, and I told Secretary Hegseth and Secretary Rubio I wouldn't make it, so they're going to meet with me individually, so I have not yet seen that. But I will tell you that they have obviously shown that video to the Gang of 8, and I think members of the House Armed Services Committee and the Senate Armed Services Committee. So you have to ask the question to them. So we'll see. Yes, yes, sir. Yes, yeah, yes, sir. Second row. Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can I get your thoughts on Jasmine Crockett's run for Senate? What does it say about the state of the Democratic Party? And do you feel worried about her chances of winning at all?
I'm absolutely delighted that Jasmine Crockett is running for Senate in Texas. I think it's one of the greatest things that's happened to the Republican Party in a long, long time. She is the face of the Democratic Party. She and Mamdani. Good luck with that. I want her to have the largest, loudest microphone that she can every single day, and we look forward to having that election down there. We are going to elect another Republican senator in Texas. Texas is a red state. The people of Texas are common sense Americans, and what Jasmine is trying to sell will not be purchased by the folks of Texas. That is my prediction. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Will you be meeting